We talked to someone from Boston. John, Boston, go ahead.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, how are you?
Good. Maybe we can get a drink when you're in town.
Only if it's a Sam Adams.
Oh, they make great beer.
I kid about Boston. I went to I did a broadcast from the Sam Adams Brewery.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah. I had Jim Cook, for a guy who's probably 145 pounds soaking wet, that guy could put beer away. I'm surprised he even still has a brewery. It's all I've never seen anybody put beer away like that before.
It's incredible. Yeah, Harpoon makes really good beer too. You got to try their stuff.
I've had Harpoon. I love all kinds of beer. You got to understand something here. When I talk about Coors Original, that's just my favorite supermarket beer. I like Victory Brewing. I like Ballantine Ale. Okay, I like everything. Go ahead.
Well, my question was, I wanted to ask you something about the whole Glenn Beck thing.
I'm not Glenn Beck.
I know you're not, but I want to know what you think about it, and I want to know what you think about the fact that what he did was an utter contradiction.
How is it an utter contradiction?
Simple. Here's a guy who claims, like many, that this mosque should not be built in New York because it's hallowed ground.
Uh-huh.
Okay? And that by doing so, it runs counter to the values and beliefs that we hold as a nation.
Okay.
He stood on the hallowed ground where King did his I Have a Dream speech.
So the Lincoln Memorial has been hallowed by King and no one else can speak there.
No, that's not what I'm saying. Let me finish. He made the reference to it being where King did his speech, and he did it on the 47th anniversary. Yet, this is a guy whose philosophy stands counter to King.
So only liberal black people own that date and that location.
No, they don't. But here's
and you know that King's niece spoke with him, right?
Right.
Okay.
And right, I do. And he's the one that drew the connection to King, and he's the one that purposely did this on the anniversary of his speech. He was trying to draw a direct connection.
So what you're saying is an act of provocation is out of bounds.
No, what I'm saying is that he's co-opting King for his purposes, but his purposes are.
But how can you co-opt something that's not owned by anyone?
You don't think he did? You don't think this was a symbolic gesture?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what was in Glenn's mind. I know Glenn, but not that well. But so what if it was blatant? Since when does anybody own that?
They don't. But the idea.
I didn't know there were any copyrights handed out.
All right. So what about the mosque in downtown? You think that's okay?
How can you compare a mosque being built at the site of Ground Zero? What has okay?
Let me,
hold on. Hold on.
Follow my
hold on. Glenn and I do the same thing for a living, and we're on the same page probably 99% of the time. Right. So let me just because Glenn's not here to defend himself. Let's say it was me. If I was doing exactly what Glenn did this weekend, would you be calling me to say, how dare you?
Do you believe in everything Glenn believes in? You're Glenn?
What is it that you think that I did?
The issue is this. Glenn Beck is a person who gets up and talks about how anyone who subscribes to any religion, church, denomination, whatever, that is rooted in social justice is essentially a Nazi. Okay?
No. He
never said that?
I'm not here to defend the Glenn Beck program. That's for you to call, Glenn Beck's program, and he can defend himself. Now, if you want to talk about the use of social justice look, people say, wouldn't Jesus want the health care bill, right? Wouldn't Jesus want social justice?
Yeah, I think so. I think the dark-skinned socialist that's in favor of health care is Jesus. It's not Obama.
Okay, so you think Jesus wants social justice, right?
Absolutely. That's his whole gospel.
Would Jesus want it at the tip of a Roman spear?
Would what?
Would he want it at the tip of a Roman spear?
Meaning would he want the state to...
How does the government enforce its will and its policies?
It was the government of his time that was oppressing the marginalized.
How does government enforce its policies?
Through law.
What is the tool that is used to enforce law? It's the gun.
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, so you're saying on this program, saying on this program that you believe that the church should stand for pairing with government to turn the guns on people.
You're totally changing the argument.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not, sir. Social justice, when you look at a church's involvement in social justice, that is people doing things out of an act of faith, not out of an act of law.
Right, and Glenn Beck is one who claims that is the same thing as socialism and Marxism and everything else.
When the church says we support a government who bypasses faith and your relationship with God, and we advocate for the gun to be turned on you in order to force you into social justice, that's not compassion. That's law, sir.
That's not my point at all. What I'm talking about is you're constantly, Glenn Beck does this, you do this, constantly invoking people like King for a purpose, yet his ideology stands counter to everything you guys believe.
He had a dream.
He was also a socialist.
If he was a Republican, if
no,
you want,
he was
okay,
not.
well you go call Project 21 and Francis Rice and the Frederick Douglass Foundation. You get them to tell me that he was not a Republican, and I'll believe you. Besides the point,
read his own writings.
He stood for the concept of people being able to be judged by merit, not by skin, for better or for worse. Okay, that's what I take away from it. Now, Al Sharpton might have something different to say about that. The Black Panther Party might have something to say about that. Some of the hosts on Sirius Left might have something to say about it. But nobody owns the message. And the idea that the government is going to use God to back up its use of the gun is something that we should all be against. The government is not God. The government is not the church.
That's not Glenn Beck's message, and that's not Jesus' message.
Where have you heard any conservative radio host say that you shouldn't do things out of the kindness of your heart, be compassionate, be charitable, use your faith to drive you to do good things? That's when we do these things on our own as an act of faith, not government orders.
He specifically said...
Well, then call him to talk about it.
Okay,
I'm not him.
Then let me ask you this related to this. If you're talking about government, and everything with you has to be based on the Constitution, right?
Yes.
So why are you so against this mosque being built in New York? Don't they have a constitutional right to do it?
No, it's a local. That would mean
they don't have a constitutional.
No, you tell me.
A constitutional right?
No, it's not. Tell me where you find that in the Constitution. Read it to me verbatim.
I don't have it in front of me.
I have it. You want me to read it to you?
Freedom of religion.
Do you want me to read it to you or not?
Read the First Amendment.
Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion.
Okay.
Congress shall make no law or prohibiting the free exercise thereof.
Right.
Congress. The New York City Planning Commission is not a function of the United States Congress.
So then if it's not unconstitutional for them to do it, why is it such an issue for you? Because everything for you has to be constitutional.
Well, they can do it. Because I have an opinion, sir. My expressing of an opinion is entirely constitutional.
But you're thinking
the city government can do whatever the hell it wants.
You think it should be stopped.
You're right.
That's not constitutional, Andrew. You can't have it both ways.
Hold on, sir. I'm not in government. I can have an opinion that runs contradictory to what people want to do, and they can still do it anyway. That's what freedom and liberty is. Just because I say something doesn't mean I'm entirely acting unconstitutional.
Well, you want it done at the.
Do you think your mayor? If I walk down the street of Boston with a gun on my hip, what do you think the Boston Police Department's going to do? They're going to respect my constitutional right to keep and bear arms?
No, but
why not, sir? Why not?
Then why do you think? Okay,
why? Well, no. I want to know why my constitutional rights wouldn't be upheld in your beloved city of Boston.
Because you have a right to bear arms, but you don't have a right to wield it around.
So you have a right to religious freedom, just not to build what you want where you want to build it.
So you think that should be enforced by the spear or the gun, as you said?
At the local level. The Constitution is the federal document. If I were wrong, there'd be no such thing as the New York City Planner's Office. But the New York City Planner's Office go, permit? What permit? We can't permit. There's no permit here. They can build what they want where the hell they want. They have a constitutional right.
Then on what local grounds would you forbid it?
I wouldn't forbid anything. It's just my personal opinion as somebody who witnessed 9/11. They can do whatever the hell they want to do. I have no power to stop them.
But you feel it should be stopped.
Yes, by their voluntary action of hearing the voices of other citizens.
No, I don't mean their voluntary action. You think it should be stopped.
I think it should be stopped that way. I think if they want to build bridges with other citizens and other citizens who are largely outnumbering them or asking them nicely with no threat of violence on the end, the city government could do whatever it wants. We are saying to them, please don't do this. If they say we're going to do it anyway, okay, we wash our hands of it. They did it.
Right, because they're doing that of their own accord, not from the tip of the spear, as you would say.
Right. I'm asking them to do it on their own accord. No government action whatsoever.
But you said a minute ago you think it should be stopped.
By their own accord, yes.
Okay, all right.
So how, you tell me now that this debate is over, how by me asking one citizen to not do something am I violating their constitutional rights?
You're not, but
I'm not violating their constitutional rights, and neither is my colleague Glenn Beck either.
Everything on your show.
So you
has a
come on. Now help me out here.
Andrew,
Citizens asking citizens to do other things is the difference between the citizens taking to the streets to ask citizens to do things on their own accord is different than the government forcing them to with the threat of the gun.
You constantly have a litmus test, and it's the Constitution.
Right.
If it fits the Constitution, we can do it. If it doesn't, we
and
can't.
The city government can say it's entirely constitutional for them to put that mosque there, and I can't do a damn thing about it.
But you want to, is what you're saying.
I want them to not do it because we're asking them to as polite citizens without government intervention.
Okay, that's fine. I respect that.
So, but you called up with the bluster that I was advocating for the violation of their constitutional freedoms, and I'd like to know where that is.
Where is their constitutional freedom?
No, where's my violation of their constitutional freedoms?
You're not violating it. But it sounded to me as if you were, based on you saying they should be stopped from doing this. I've heard you say that.
Well, you got to understand something, sir. The city government has the power to issue the permit. That means they can deny it.
Right. On what grounds?
Square footage, use of land, whether or not they want to have a swimming pool there, parking restrictions. Have you ever seen how the city government works?
Yeah,
you live
I know
in
how
Boston. They can make up a million different regulations.
But that's not the real reason is because it's Muslim.
Sir, if they deny the permits to Walmart because it's Walmart, okay, if the construction is a no-go because of the construction on the construction level only, then there's no religious problem there, sir.
Right, but that's not why you think
now you're in the hearts of
minds. This nation's up in arms because of a construction issue?
Okay, listen, John, thank you very much for the call. Now you're in the hearts and minds of people that you aren't familiar with.